What truly scares a narcissist? If you've ever been involved with a narcissist, whether in a personal or professional relationship, you know that they often portray themselves as untouchable, as if nothing can faze them. But beneath that confident, arrogant exterior, there's a fragile ego hiding a multitude of fears. Narcissists are adept at concealing their vulnerabilities because their very identity hinges on an inflated sense of self-importance, which they constantly defend. The most common guess people have when thinking of a narcissist's fear is being criticized, and that's accurate. However, the range of their fears extends far beyond that. These fears aren't just minor annoyances or everyday worries. For narcissists, the things that frighten them are existential threats to their carefully constructed facade of superiority. Let's break down some of the core fears that haunt narcissists, leading them to lash out, manipulate, and go to great lengths to avoid facing them. 1. Fear of criticism. A narcissist's inability to handle criticism is legendary. Even the mildest suggestion that they could improve or do something differently can trigger an explosive reaction. Criticism is not just feedback to a narcissist, it's a direct attack on their identity. Their self-esteem is extremely fragile, even though they project an air of superiority. This contradiction is at the core of why they fear criticism so intensely. Narcissists spend much of their lives crafting a perfect image of themselves, one that portrays them as flawless, competent, and superior. This image becomes central to their identity, so when someone points out a flaw, no matter how small, it challenges the very foundation of how they view themselves. Instead of taking constructive feedback as an opportunity to improve, a narcissist will interpret it as an accusation that they are inadequate, which is something they cannot tolerate. For example, you might suggest something as simple as eating at the dinner table instead of in front of the TV, and suddenly you find yourself the target of a fit of rage. In their mind, this suggestion has escalated into a personal attack on their integrity and confidence. The reaction may seem irrational to you, but for a narcissist, criticism destabilizes the facade they work tirelessly to uphold. To protect themselves, they might lash out with anger, stonewall with silence, or shift blame onto you, framing you as the aggressor. This extreme sensitivity to criticism is rooted in their deep-seated insecurity. Beneath the surface, narcissists know they are not the flawless beings they pretend to be, and the mere act of acknowledging imperfection feels like losing control of their carefully managed public image. The threat posed by criticism isn't just about being seen as flawed. It's about losing the admiration and validation they crave from others, which they depend on to maintain their sense of self-worth. 2. Fear of disrespect in public. While criticism in private is terrifying enough for a narcissist, being disrespected in front of others amplifies that fear. Narcissists thrive on admiration and external validation, so when they perceive disrespect, especially in a group setting, their ego takes a huge hit. It's not uncommon for a narcissist to go from being calm and composed to raging or withdrawing into icy silence over what appears to be a minor slight. For instance, imagine you're out with friends and you suggest going to a different restaurant than the one the narcissist recommended. In their mind, this isn't just a simple change of plans. It's a personal attack on their authority and a challenge to their status in the group. To a narcissist, every interaction is about maintaining control and asserting dominance. Public disrespect disrupts that dynamic and exposes the fragile ego beneath the grandiose exterior. Being disrespected in public strikes at the core of a narcissist's worst fear, losing control over how others perceive them. Their sense of self-worth is so tied to their social image that even a trivial remark can feel like an earth-shattering insult. The fear of humiliation in front of others is particularly acute because it exposes them in a way they cannot control. When their superiority is questioned in front of an audience, they feel shame, embarrassment, and a profound loss of status, which is intolerable to them. 3. Fear of rejection. No one enjoys rejection, but for a narcissist, rejection is not just painful, it's catastrophic. While most people can handle being told no, or dealing with a situation where they aren't chosen or invited, narcissists take rejection as a direct attack on their self-worth. Their entire identity is wrapped up in how others view them, and when they're rejected, it feels like their very existence is being invalidated. Rejection for a narcissist isn't just about not getting what they want. It's about being denied the validation they depend on to feel superior. If a narcissist isn't the center of attention, the one in control, or the person receiving admiration, they feel like they're nothing. Even a small rejection, such as not being invited to a party or having someone ignore their advice, can provoke an intense emotional response. You might have seen this reaction before. A narcissist being rejected may throw a tantrum, sulk, or become vindictive. What sets a narcissist's reaction to rejection apart from a typical person's is the way they internalize it. For a narcissist, rejection means they are not good enough, and because they rely so heavily on external validation to prop up their fragile ego, this realization is intolerable. They often respond by attacking the person who rejected them, discrediting them in any way possible to regain a sense of superiority. This isn't just about self-defense. It's about reasserting their dominance and control over the situation. 4. Fear of ridicule. Narcissists are notorious for being able to dish out harsh criticism, sarcasm, and mocking humor, but they absolutely cannot take it when the tables are turned. If you've ever made a harmless joke at the expense of a narcissist, you might have noticed an immediate change in their demeanor. Their face may darken with rage, or they might accuse you of being cruel and unfair. Even the lightest teasing can feel like an existential threat to them. Ridicule strikes at the heart of a narcissist's fear of exposure. When someone makes a joke about them, no matter how trivial, it feels like their facade is being stripped away, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Narcissists assume that humor directed at them carries the same cutting intent as the jokes they make about others. Because they use humor as a weapon to assert dominance and mask their insecurities, they believe everyone else is doing the same. Being ridiculed forces a narcissist to confront the reality that they are not untouchable or perfect. It highlights their flaws in a way they can't control, and that loss of control is terrifying for them. Instead of laughing along, they become defensive, angry, and may even retaliate with more severe forms of belittlement or emotional abuse. 5. Fear of exposure. One of the narcissist's greatest fears is being exposed for who they truly are. Narcissists spend a lifetime cultivating an image of success, confidence, and superiority, but beneath that mask lies a deeply insecure and fragile person. If you've ever caught a narcissist in a lie or discovered a truth that contradicts their self-presentation, you've likely witnessed their fear of exposure firsthand. When a narcissist is caught red-handed, whether it's in a lie or when their real capabilities don't match their inflated claims, they react with fury. They may accuse you of invading their privacy, gaslight you by denying the truth, or go on the offensive to shift the blame onto you. The reason for this extreme reaction is that exposure threatens the very foundation of their identity. Their grandiose persona is built on lies, exaggerations, and half-truths, and being exposed means losing the control they've worked so hard to maintain. The fear of exposure runs deep because it strips away the narcissist's carefully constructed mask, leaving them vulnerable. Narcissists will go to great lengths to avoid this, even if it means destroying relationships, manipulating others, or engaging in smear campaigns to protect their image. 6. Fear of being average. Narcissists don't just want to be admired, they need to feel special, superior, and exceptional. The idea of being average is a nightmare for them because it contradicts the core of their identity. While most people are content with leading ordinary lives, narcissists view mediocrity as failure. This fear manifests differently in overt and covert narcissists. Overt narcissists, the grandiose type, are constantly striving to be the best, whether it's in their careers, social circles, or personal achievements. They need to be recognized and praised for their accomplishments, and when they fall short, they either dismiss the importance of the challenge or attack those who outperform them. In contrast, covert narcissists may lead more average lives on the surface, but they harbor a deep sense of entitlement. They believe they deserve more than they have and resent anyone who seems to be living a more successful or fulfilled life. For both types, being average feels like a personal failure because it undermines their sense of superiority. Narcissists need to stand out, to be admired, and to be seen as exceptional. When they can't achieve this, they feel threatened and may retreat from situations where they risk being exposed as ordinary. 7. Fear of irrelevance. Perhaps the most profound fear a narcissist has is the fear of becoming irrelevant. Narcissists need constant attention, admiration, and validation from others to sustain their inflated sense of self-worth. For them, being ignored or overlooked is akin to annihilation. This fear drives much of their behavior. Narcissists are often the ones stirring up drama, creating conflict, or positioning themselves as the center of attention. They need to be noticed, even if it's for negative reasons. In many cases, they would rather provoke anger, jealousy, or resentment than be ignored. The thought of becoming irrelevant, of no longer being the focus of others' admiration or attention, is unbearable for them. Irrelevance strips away the narcissist's sense of identity, leaving them feeling empty and worthless. Without the constant gaze of others, they lose their grounding and begin to unravel. This is why narcissists often create chaos in relationships or workplaces. Even if the attention they receive is negative, it reassures them that they still matter. In conclusion, narcissists may project confidence and superiority, but beneath that exterior lies a fragile ego, riddled with fears. From criticism and public disrespect to the terror of being average or irrelevant, these fears drive much of their manipulative and destructive behavior. Understanding these fears can provide insight into why narcissists act the way they do, and more importantly, how to protect yourself from becoming entangled in their emotional turmoil. By recognizing that narcissists are driven by a deep-seated fear of losing control over how others perceive them, you can better navigate relationships with them. Knowing their triggers helps you anticipate their reactions and set boundaries that protect your emotional well-being. Although it can be challenging to deal with narcissists, especially when their fears fuel their need for domination and validation, understanding their vulnerabilities is the first step toward managing those interactions effectively. Take you for your time again, and as always, stay blessed and irresistible. Thanks for joining me today. If you found this discussion helpful or insightful, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more discussions on healing, self-love, and moving forward after toxic relationships. Until next time, stay blessed, stay strong, and as always, stay irresistible.